Support for this podcast comes from the St. Alphonsus Neuroscience Institute, offering technology to provide treatment for neurological, neurosurgical, and neurointerventional conditions. This includes a dedicated neurotrauma ICU for critical care of the brain or spine and a 24/7 stroke team. More at stalphonsus.org. Stay informed with Boise State Public Radio's weekly newsletter. Delivered every Tuesday morning, it brings you the latest local news on politics, the environment, arts, and culture. Plus, get highlights from Idaho Matters and the Mountain West News Bureau. Sign up today at boisestatepublicradio.org.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector, Idaho's daily news. Good morning. I'm George Prentice. So what was the governor of Florida doing at the Idaho State Capitol on Thursday? We've got that story and the forecast that we've all been waiting for. Truly, you've got to hear it to believe it. It's Friday, the 23rd of January. Here we go with today's stories. At the Capitol, an effort to put a question on a statewide ballot: should there be a repeal of the so-called Blaine Amendment from the Idaho Constitution? In effect, the Blaine Amendment prevents public funds from supporting religious schools or institutions. Here's GOP House Representative Elaine Price.
What happens with the Blaine Amendment is we're discriminating against a religious class. It discriminates against, right now it's being used against Christians. So when we implement the Blaine Amendment, it discriminates because we're choosing to not allow Christians to do something that we allow other people to do.
Democratic Representative Monica Church says, yes, there should be a statewide conversation on the topic.
And I want Idahoans to weigh in on this. I trust them, and I think it's about time that they do. And I really hope that we have a robust effort to inform Idahoans about the Constitution and about this, particular amendment. So
the House State Affairs agreed to have a full public hearing on the matter. To get a resolution like this on an Idaho ballot, it would require a 2/3 majority in both the House and the Senate. And then on the ballot, it would require the majority of the voters. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, visited Boise yesterday. He was at the Capitol to push for a proposed amendment to the U.S. Constitution that would mandate balancing the federal budget. Julie Lukatow reports.
Speaking at the Idaho Capitol, DeSantis said the amendment could be done through a constitutional convention of states, which has never been called before.
I'm convinced that you're not going to see this turn around unless you have some constitutional constraints on the ability of Congress to drive us deeper into debt and effectively to end up bankrupting the country.
So far, 28 have certified the resolution. Any amendment to the Constitution requires ratification from 38 of 50, or 3/4 of the states. DeSantis said this may not be necessary if more states join the resolution.
Once you start to get that momentum, Congress sees the writing on the wall, and then they will usually write an amendment and propose that for ratification.
Idaho's state constitution already requires a balanced budget where spending cannot exceed revenue. DeSantis promoted the same resolution last year. Julie Lukatow, Boise State Public Radio News.
It has been about a week now since we first reported of social media posts about ICE enforcement in eastern Idaho. The Shoshone-Bannock Tribal Council needed to send out a statement saying while there had been no confirmed ICE sightings on the Fort Hall Reservation, tribal officials said members should be carrying their tribal identification cards. Now, we have a story from Arizona where the law there gives Native Americans the option to update their ID cards to show their tribal affiliation. Gabriel Pietrozio tells us there are efforts to do the same in other Mountain West states, that as fear of ICE raids is sweeping through indigenous communities.
That idea came from Navajo Democratic State Representative Myron Sosi.
Instead of having to dig out all your cards to show that you are Native American.
And had nothing to do with ICE.
That wasn't the purpose. But I'm hearing from constituents saying I feel safer now.
And it's something Thomas Cody, Executive Director of the Navajo Nation's Division for Child and Family Services, is encouraging his Diné urban relatives to seek out.
It's unfortunate that we have to have on our ID that we're Native Americans. We shouldn't.
This new marker is akin to getting an organ donor or veteran insignia on any form of ID, including a driver's license. To do so, applicants need to prove that they're enrolled in a tribe by submitting a CIB or Certificate of Indian Blood. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Gabriel Pietrorazio.
Some pleasant news is in the outlook. Let's bring in Sophie Adams from the National Weather Service office in Boise.
Good morning, George.
What can you tell us about this change that is in the outlook?
Yes, so we are expecting a cold front to pass over top of us early this morning, and we are expecting our winds to kick up a little bit with this cold front. We are not expecting any precipitation, but with those winds picking up, we could see some of that low stratus cloud deck that's been hanging around over the Treasure Valley and portions of the Snake River Valley to mix out, and so we could finally see some sunshine. I know people have been waiting for that sun to come in, so we could see some sun move into the area, and then maybe some colder temperatures as well, just since we're going to have that colder air mass moving in. We are expecting some of those clouds to probably hang around in portions of the lower Snake River Valley, so areas near Twin Falls and Jerome could still see the low clouds lingering a little bit, but we have fairly high confidence that we'll see those clouds move out tomorrow. But unfortunately, it does look like we'll see that ridge of high pressure build back in, so we'll be back to those inverted conditions probably by Sunday is what we're guessing right now. So we'll see that lower cloud deck begin to build back in, and we'll still kind of see the air stagnation potential to continue as we get into next week. And it really doesn't look like we're going to see any significant precipitation really potentially until maybe the end of next week. So really still kind of that cool and dry pattern continuing through the next week, but maybe a little bit of sun tomorrow or today. So.
Okay, Sophie Adams at the National Weather Service office. Sophie, have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.
So that's it for The Connector, and I hope you have a really good weekend. And here is your assignment for the weekend. Sign up for our Legislative Roundup newsletter. It tells you everything you need to know about everything that's going on in that big building down Capitol Boulevard, the State House, yeah. It shows up in your inbox every Monday. You can sign up for it at BoiseStatePublicRadio.org. For now, from me to you, thanks for listening.
Hey, I'm Peter Pruitt from Zoo, Idaho.
And I'm Dr. Leif Tapinola with the Idaho Museum of Natural History.
Together we host The Nature of Idaho, a podcast all about how our state's amazing landscapes, wildlife, and geology shape life here in the Gem State.
Each week we dive into nature stories from across Idaho, everything from fossils to forests, and sometimes even a few fun facts you can share on your next hike.
So join us as we celebrate everything that makes wild Idaho special.
Listen to The Nature of Idaho from KISU, wherever you get your podcasts, or at KISU.org.